Well, good afternoon and welcome to the October National AgTech Forum on Dairy Innovation, brought to you this month by AgStart. My name is Liana Sueja and I'm the Program Director for AgStart. We're delighted that you could be with us this afternoon to learn about new innovation on the dairy farm and in the dairy grocer's aisle. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin with the presentations. Please post your questions and answers to the Q&A section of the platform and feel free to upvote the questions so we can make sure we've addressed those that are most interesting to our audience. And just so you all know, the presentations are being recorded. Upcoming events, the next National AgTech Forum for November will be on the 17th of November, and the topic is going to be fermentation. So make sure you get that on your calendar. And now I'm pleased to introduce the moderator for today's meetup. John Sullivan is the president of the AgTech Innovation Alliance, which is the parent company of the AgStart program. And I'm happy to turn the floor, I should say the screen, over to you, John.
Thank you, Liana. I really appreciate it. And welcome to our audience. This session is produced by AgStart. We're a nonprofit incubator in California focused on advancing information and technology innovation in the ag, food, and health domain. AgStart has been in the business of supporting startup companies since 2012. We're in our 9th year. We've been supporting startup companies in the region, in the Northern California region and across California throughout that time through a combination of network incubation, connections, networking, mentorship, and education. We recently opened a full science-based wet lab, wet chemistry laboratory incubator in Woodland, California, and we have 12 startup companies that we incubate here right now, and we're looking to continue and grow our startup company base in the region. Today's topic, dairy innovation, is particularly important in the state of California. California is the #1 agricultural state in the country, and dairy, milk and cream are the #1 agricultural commodity produced in California. We produce more milk and cream than any other state in the country. The second largest is Wisconsin, and other states farther down. We have individual counties in the state of California that have 500,000 dairy cows, each of them. That's Tulare County, Fresno County, a number of counties where dairy is a critically important industry. But the dairy industry in California is under pressure. The commodity milk prices and the returns to dairy producers have been low, bordering on profitable one year, unprofitable the next. And that pressure has been very significant. Our dairy industry is going to rely on innovation in dairy technologies to keep California's dairy industry competitive on a national and a global basis, and to help dairy producers continue to operate in the black on a profitable basis. So we're very pleased to have 2 dairy innovation companies today in terms of our program. And we have a guest video from Jared Margolis with the California Milk Advisory Board, part of the state of California's Department of Food and Agriculture. And they have a milk advisory board that really focuses on the dairy industry. And I'm going to apologize for not being able to provide a complete bio. My laptop died just before today's presentation. So I'm going to turn the agenda over to Alika Chuk, who is a representative of our first dairy innovator. And Alika, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself since I don't have access to my, my biography and background. Alika, are you on?
Yep, sounds great. Let me just go ahead and share. So hello everyone. My name is Alika Chuk. I'm co-founder and chief financial officer with Farm Robotics. Marinas and I have been working on this project since 2017 and happy to be here with you all today and share what we have. So really, we are revolutionizing the dairy industry. I mean, imagine a world where people will no longer be administering inoculations by hand, and high compliance is achieved through automation. So SureShot, our robotic health center, actually automates the entire inoculation process for dairy and beef cows and will eventually lead to the first predictive modeling platform related to animal health standards. And so really, like I said, this problem started at the farm level with my co-founder, Marinas. So with my co-founder being our CEO, Marinas Dijkstra, really at his farms, he administers 54,000 inoculations annually to more than 3,000 cows. Now, he has 3 full-time employees who have to locate these cows and give these shots, but unfortunately, they don't always give them 100% correctly. But by eliminating these 2 issues, his farm could actually be receiving an additional $275,000 per year. Now, today, millions of vaccines and reproductive products are administered to dairy cows around the world. And really, this creates 2 problems. One, to administer these shots, it really requires a lot of labor and training. And 2, 1/3 of the cows in the industry do not achieve that high compliance rate, meaning that they don't receive the full required schedule of vaccines or reproductive products. My co-founder has had this experience for the past 20 years, and when I was working with him on his dairy during my undergraduate studies, we decided to team up and start writing the business plan and patent for this. And so to solve this problem, we are developing a robotic health center called SureShot. And so this is how it works. An RFID and camera ID reader will be used to determine whether a cow requires an inoculation after she exits the milking barn. At this point, the gates at the health center will close and she will be scanned and gently restrained to ensure safety. Following this, she'll be weighed on a scale below and then scanned again to determine what kind of medication she needs. The data will be uploaded in real time to the cloud of the herd management program. And in the next step, the robotic arm will administer the medication in the cow's neck region using the custom end of arm tooling. She'll then be able to return to her pen when the gate opens after her treatment. So by using SureShot to administer pharmaceutical products to cows, we can now save on labor significantly and obtain that higher compliance rate. And this process takes no human interference whatsoever. And so upon installation, cows will be trained for several weeks by having the arm make contact with the area that's about to receive the inoculation, but really it'll be more of a mock inoculation. And so compared to conventional techniques, the animal will actually be less stressed and will provide more indirect benefits when using our system than compared to previous methods with human interaction. So missing these cows' reproduction schedules and the additional cost of labor, dairy farms miss out on up to $285 per cow per year. Now, up to $85 per cow could be saved on the labor side, and up to $200 per cow could be gained from increased pregnancy rates and herd performance. And on average, dairy farms my partner size could actually be making an additional $700,000 a year by using SureShot. So as you can see, SureShot will be utilized. Data will be uploaded in real time, and the dairy farmer can then view these data points and have these expected outcomes. Now, regarding data collection, the farmers will have the option to own their data. With that being said, we'll have access to their data to run studies on weights, doses, and how many shots are given at specific points in time. And to put things into perspective, take these 3 examples. A dairy will typically recoup their costs on our system within 1.5 to 3 years, depending on the size of the operation, as well as their specific labor and herd performance needs. And so with this in mind, our ultimate goal is to pave a sustainable path for the farmer through an increase in profitability, for the cows through increased animal health standards, and for the environment through eventually having all of our systems powered on renewable energy sources. The 2 major risks we'll plan to mitigate are inaccuracy and animal stress levels through ensuring 100% compliance and animal comfort. So really, why now? Well, with the rising cost of labor, shortage of skilled workers, and competitive food market in place, now is really the perfect time to integrate our technology into the market. And most importantly, we provide a solution for the traceability of pharmaceuticals for the very first time in a global market that cares about where their food comes from. Our initial target market are the largest dairy farms in the US, representing 6 million of the 9 million cows. Really, our initial addressable market entails anywhere between 600 head to 15,000 cow dairies, those who utilize artificial insemination programs on their farms, as well as spending significantly when delivering these inoculations. And lastly, those who already utilize rotary style parlors or robotics on their operation. And so after establishing our presence in the US, we'll also move to large farms in Asia and Europe, who also experience these same compliance issues, while also targeting the 50 million beef cattle industry within the US. And so as we are first to market with Sure Shot, we only have indirect competitors at the moment, including De Laval and Lely Robotic Milking Systems. Additionally, current barrier to entry is the high upfront cost to produce these systems, as well as just in general, the animal health ag tech sector being new to establish. And so to maintain our competitive advantage, we are thinking in the future, now that we already have our first patent issued as of December 2020, we'd like to continue building a patent family. And so once distributed internationally to both the dairy and beef industry, we'll really begin running studies to optimize the shot delivery process in a data analysis sense, where really we hope to have then created a new standard for animal health. So in the projected forecast, we expect to generate over 194 million in net income over the next 6 years. And really our exit strategy entails being acquired by either pharmaceutical, robotics, or a data management company within 6 to 8 years from go to market. Our team has a lot of experience in the dairy business and have deep connections throughout the industry. Really our unique skill sets and areas of specialization make us the perfect team to build this technology and take it to market. We also have 4 partners who joined the farm robotics team, in which we'll leverage their capabilities in the dairy equipment, software as a service, and renewable energy space to really transform the animal health side of the industry. And we also, to scale globally, we have strategic alliances in place with the companies shown, and we also plan to establish agreements with pharmaceutical companies in the future to become distributors of their products. So we've accomplished a lot over the past few years, and we're excited to be completing our proof of concepts and putting our first system on my co-founder's dairy here in December. Really just to highlight a few things over the past few years, we attended an accelerator program put on by DFA, the nation's largest dairy cooperative. As I mentioned, we have our patent as of December of 2020, and we've been able to establish our installation, software, manufacturing, and market research partners. And really something notable is that we now accepted partnerships with both Siemens, electronic German company, as well as Valley Agriculture Software. Really, they're the largest herd management system that's available at the dairy level. And so really, we think with our partnership with Siemens, they'll be able to further assist our brand by helping gain international exposure as we aim to optimize animal health standards and really the predictive modeling platform globally that we plan to construct in the future. So that entails entering the global big data market, global animal health market, and the global medical robots market. And so with Sure Shot, dairy farmers can now maintain a higher compliance rate, giving them peace of mind that their cows will live longer, healthier lives and produce more high quality milk. And so we're currently seeking strategic investors to stay on track and commercialize in 2022. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alika. That was very helpful. We'll come back and talk about your go-to-market strategy and adoption for dairy technologies as part of the Q&A. At this point, I'd like to turn the table over to Tamara Lay, who is the CEO of EIO Diagnostics. Tamara, why don't you introduce yourself and share a little bit more about your company?
Thank you very much, Sean. I'll just share my screen, which is second nature until you're doing it with a whole bunch of people watching. There we go. Is this sharing my screen?
Yep.
Great. So my name is Tamara Lee. I'm the CEO and co-founder of EIO Diagnostics. Our core business is infrared image analysis to improve animal health and productivity. And our first product to market is a tool for the early detection of mastitis in dairy cows. So mastitis is the #1 animal health issue in the dairy industry. It's estimated to affect 1 in 3 cows during a lactation cycle, so roughly over the process of a year. And across the United States, costs U.S. dairy farmers $2 billion a year. But if you break that down to a single farm, if you take a sample of a 5,000 cow dairy in the United States, it'll cost them $1 million a year in labor, treatment costs, and production losses. And this is essentially what mastitis detection looks like in the dairies that we target. So we're working with large-scale commercial dairies, largely with rotaries right now. And you'll see a single person at the beginning of the rotary who is manually, it's called stripping, each quarter of the udder, spraying the milk on the ground, looking for signs of flakes or clumps as an indicator of mastitis. We're looking to automate this function by putting a sensor at the beginning of each rotary. So this is actually a photo in the center of one of our early installations. This is installed with a thermal camera at the beginning of the rotary that looks up and below at the udder. That way we see every cow at every milking as they go by. We do a quick thermal mapping of the udder with our sensors, which run through our machine learning algorithms that are done on an edge server, actually, so we don't need continuous conductivity. That gives an analysis of the udder, looking at the heat distribution. So if you see that image off to the right-hand side, that is actually one of the frames that we've captured. Our algorithms are masking out the udder and focusing on that, analyzing the heat distribution and giving an immediate real-time signal to the farmer. 1 unit per rotary can service up to 10,000 cows a day. Basically, as many cows as you can put through, we can analyze and screen mastitis for. Our U.S. patent was issued in March 2021. Like, it's getting caught up on time today. So in terms of the benefits of automated detection, what we're doing is reducing the monitoring and treatment labor. This is a really difficult position to recruit for. It's a repetitive task. It's not particularly comfortable working in that position on the rotary, but it requires somebody who is skilled and able to provide consistent results and screening as they go by. So even that increases in its level of error over time. So we're eliminating human fatigue errors. We can do clinical and preclinical detection of mastitis. And because our system doesn't touch the cow, there's no touch and no transmission of contagious pathogens from cow to cow. Over time, what this allows us to do is improve milk production in the herd, because a single clinical case of mastitis can reduce the lifetime productivity of a cow by up to 20%. And then for farmers, it helps them maximize their milk quality premiums and reduce their treatment times and antibiotic use by getting out ahead of the clinical infection cycle. We have really focused in our design on keeping it simple, affordable, and immediately actionable. And that really comes down to working with farmers over and over in an iteration on making sure it's easy to install and maintain. So this is essentially a no-touch system for the farmers as well, and that it integrates seamlessly with the workflow of the dairy. As I said before, no touch means no transmission, so we can go in and help barns that have had issues with highly contagious pathogens and be able to do the mastitis detection without contributing to the issue. And we can operate at scale. Our base technology works as effectively on 1 cow as it does for 10,000 cows. So it really is a unique value proposition for these large-scale dairies that are more common in the United States and across parts of Europe and other parts of the world. So Right now, we have a very specific U.S. focus. We're commercializing for rotary dairies here, so focusing on the large-scale dairies, 5,000 cows and over. Although any dairy with an internet connection and a rotary is totally a strong candidate for this technology. Beyond there, we're taking that back, dialing that back to a portable diagnostic system. So we're using the big data and leveraging that from the large commercial dairies to be able to put out a product that we can use as a handheld version in the field, and then optimizing for use in parallel barns and with robotic milkers. That really opens up a huge market globally for addressing this issue. And in terms of requirements, as I said, we're looking to work with folks right now who have rotary parlors and internet access. We're looking for early customers at this point. So we're rolling out a pilot in November with 20,000 cows. And then we'll be moving really to early stage customers in January 2022. So if you're interested or you know someone who may be interested, let's talk. We'd be really happy to have that conversation. And this is how you find me. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Tamara. That's tremendous to understand the technology you're bringing to the dairy farms. We have a third speaker who was not able to be here in person today, but Jarrett Margolis recorded a video introducing himself and his role in California's dairy industry. Michelle, I think you have that queued up.
Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Jarrett Margolis, and today I'm going to talk about innovation and entrepreneurship initiatives at the California Milk Advisory Board. The agenda for today will be a quick intro on me, some background on the California Milk Advisory Board, and the innovation and entrepreneurship initiatives that we have been focusing on. So as mentioned, my name is Jarrett Margolis. I'm currently the senior manager on the CMAB business development team. I was born and raised in a town called Manhattan Beach, which is in Southern California. I attended the University of Michigan, and my previous careers consist of being a national account manager for a third-party logistics company called Coyote Logistics, and most recently, I worked as vice president of sales and business development at millennial ice cream company, Cool House. Real quick, for those of you who are not familiar with the California Milk Advisory Board, we are an instrumentality of the California Department of Food and Agriculture. We are funded by the 1,200 family-owned dairy farms in California, and we exist for one purpose: to spread the word about extraordinary dairy products made with real California milk. Some of the ways we spread that word and drive demand for California dairy products is via marketing communication, TV advertising, social media campaigns, and various PR outreach, as well as business development initiatives such as offering retail support, which might consist of key buyer intros, instant redeemable coupons, demo programs, as well as domestic and international trade shows, all of which are there to help further scale one's business. With that, another tool we've been building out to further drive industry demand for California dairy products is an innovation ecosystem, which leverages many of the key principles and tactics mentioned already. The goal of the ecosystem is to innovate, develop, train, and launch new dairy-focused brands, processes, and entrepreneurs to the world in order to continue to drive demand for the California dairy industry. The beauty of our ecosystem is that it is ever-changing and continues to evolve and grow. The innovation ecosystem is only as strong as the components you allow in. It takes a tribe to truly take something from an idea to a scalable product. As you can see here, these are just a few of the many components of our innovation ecosystem. We depend on food scientists, producers, marketers, CFOs, retailers, packaging experts, regulatory, and so much more in order to make our ecosystem go. We are constantly connecting and building out the resources that are needed to support all the way from the idea stage through the commercialization stage. One innovation that falls into this framework is the CMAB Accelerator Competition, which we are currently in year 3 of. Each year, we look at data and insights to direct a relevant theme in dairy. Last year's competition's theme was around snacking, and this year's competition is around functional foods, specifically focusing around supporting performance and recovery. The Accelerator Competition is great because it allows us to use all aspects of our ecosystem. We ideate with the selection process, we grant a $10,000 stipend and elite mentorship in order to create the product, we prove out the product via consumer surveys and industry expert judges, and we implement and introduce our finalists to investors, farmers, processors, and producers. And then finally, we help launch the winner with marketing support to support strategic channels for growth such as retail, direct-to-consumer, food service, and international. For this year's competition, the ideation came from across the globe. We had a total of 61 applicants that came from Australia to Canada. All applicants were very innovative and all had very unique backgrounds, ranging from fourth-generation dairy farmer to James Beard Award-winning chef to Inc. 5000 companies and pediatricians. The ideas ranged anywhere from a sleep-friendly ice cream brand all the way to a milk-based bath bomb that hydrates the skin and promotes relaxations. One of my favorite success stories from our accelerator competitions thus far is from last year's Snackcelerator semifinalist, Wonder Cheesecake. Originally, Wonder entered our competition as a Brazilian snacking cheese bread. All they had was the idea. By using the $10,000 stipend and going through our full accelerator program, Wonder was able to pivot via the mentorship and feedback to create a low-carb cheesecake product that was 100% keto-friendly. Through the competition, they were able to formulate, brand, and design, and ultimately create their product. In one short year, Wonder was able to launch their brand direct to consumer and has since hit 6 figures in revenue, have sold the products in all 50 states, and have served thousands of customers. We continue to work hand in hand with Wonder as they look to expand in traditional retail as well as fundraise to further scale their business. Another great innovation success story out of last year's competition is finalist Satch Foods. Satch Foods entered the competition with the idea of being the world's first flavored and artisanal paneer. They had a working product, and our competition quickly helped them by collecting valuable insights and feedback, establishing a scalable sales strategy, and better refining their overall product. At the beginning of the competition, Satch could be found in roughly 50 stores, and after our competition, Satch has quickly grown to over 600 stores and is scaling their team and production and continues to grow the paneer category. In addition to our accelerator competition, the CMAB offers food service themed innovation contest. One in particular, and it is also now in its 3rd year, much like the accelerator, is our Real California Pizza Contest. This contest will award prizes totaling $30,000 for the most innovative use of cow's milk cheese from California and is open for entries by professional chefs and culinary students. This contest focuses on cutting-edge pizza menu solutions that can produce commercial viability for a broad range of independent operators. We want to find creative, on-trend recipes that will ultimately be easy for operators to replicate in their kitchens. The competition has 3 categories: CalMex, the Real Californian, and Plant Forward. Last year's winners consisted of Chef Lars Smith, who won both the Plant Forward and CalMex prizes, and Chef Ricky Webster, who took home the grand prize for his Real California pizza dubbed The Wharf, which was a clam chowder-inspired pizza pairing a sourdough crust and fresh clams with 3 California cheese and dairy products. Based off the success of the Real California Pizza Contest, we have also spun the idea off and created the California To Go Dairy to Go competition, which is inspired by chefs and food service operators who made quick, creative pivots to adjust their menus for the takeout and delivery model during the disruption caused by this year's pandemic. The Real California Milk Food Service team hand-selected 12 culinary professionals to participate in the first-of-its-kind event, representing a variety of food service backgrounds, including experience in major restaurant chains, broadline distributors, independent restaurants, ghost kitchens, and food trucks. Each chef will submit 1 dish in either the CalMex or Cheese and Mac category, as well as a second dish under Innovation to Go, which allows for creativity beyond their assigned category. All dishes must be optimized for the takeout or to-go experience and incorporate sustainability sourced California cheeses and other dairy ingredients. Participating chefs will win cash prizes from $500 to $5,000. This year, we had 3 winners, all of which used this competition to ideate, create, prove, implement, and launch their Dairy to Go innovation to the world. A new initiative that we are piloting and hope to scale beyond just Cal Poly is our Ag Business Innovation Competition. We realize that a lot of innovation happens at colleges and universities. Colleges and universities oftentimes have a built-in ecosystem, and it is important for the dairy industry to create opportunities within the university ecosystem. In particular, a university like Cal Poly has a dairy science program as well as a creamery. On top of that, the university has marketing, business, finance, packaging, and design students, to name a few. It is the perfect atmosphere to start a business, and it is our duty to create opportunities for dairy. Thus, we have tapped into Professor Christiane Schroeder's Ag Business 304 class, which is all around innovation and entrepreneurship. The CMAB is partnering with Professor Schroeder and will be supporting her class final project by offering a $1,500 seed fund to one lucky group. The seed funding will be used towards further creating, developing, implementing, and eventually launching their innovative dairy product or service that they end up doing for their final project. Cal Poly has many innovation contests on campus that we hope to funnel Ag 304 final projects into in order for the students to further develop the dairy innovation. Some of the Cal Poly innovation contests we encourage the students to carry their ideas into are an elevator pitch competition, an on-campus demo day, the Cal Poly Summer Accelerator, and even the Cal Poly Innovation Quest, which is an annual competition that grants up to $30,000 in funding and coaching to student-run startups. While the pilot competition is not over quite yet, I recently met with the class. The students teamed up into groups of 4, and we had a fun white elephant-style selection process for their final project. Each team would pick a dairy-related category out of a hat, and teams were able to steal categories from each other, which was a lot of fun. At the end of the selection process, we were left with 7 groups of 4. The 7 dairy categories selected were fluid milk, cheese, frozen novelties, ice cream, yogurt, creams and creamers, and whipped toppings. The final projects are due at the end of the quarter, and each group is competing against each other for that $1,500 seed fund, as well as a good grade. While the students are still in the ideate stage, we are getting some great results. Some of my favorites thus far are froth, milk for coffee, loopy whip, a spiked whipped cream topping, and an ice cream product yet to be named, but will promote hydration. I think Pedialyte needs ice cream. Last, and certainly not least, one of our biggest innovation initiatives that is ongoing and just getting started is our build out of the California Dairy Innovation Center, better known as the CDIC. The CDIC is a collaboration of dairy producers, processors, universities, and brand marketers, headed by CDIC Director Veronique LaGrange, pictured here. Veronique will be working with a steering committee, and her main objectives will be coordinating scientific research and reports supporting dairy innovation, offer resources to fuel demand and innovation in dairy, and provide relevant education for current and future workforces. So the current key programs that are being currently worked on by the CDC are listed here. Some to highlight: continuing to drive export sales. There's a huge opportunity for value-add dairy products internationally. In particular, innovations over the years with extended shelf life milk have opened up a ton of export opportunities. We're also working on packaging innovations, working on reducing virgin plastics that are a part of the packaging supply chain in dairy. On the people side, we're working closely with the likes of Cal Poly and offering different short courses around different dairy value-add products, one of which is a cheese-making course. So not only help educate and train, but can help attract new forces by offering these. And a shameless plug, we have the Cheese Making 101 class, November 2nd through 5th. I encourage you to all reach out to me if you're interested, and we'd love to have you as a part of the upcoming class. As you can see, all of our innovation and entrepreneurial initiatives fall somewhere within this ecosystem framework. From accelerators to short courses, it is all about keeping innovation front of mind and filling in the necessary support where needed. While the framework guides the innovation, it is ultimately the people and the partners within the ecosystem that make it all go. Thank you for your time today. Please reach out with any questions, and if you're interested, I would love to find a way where each and every one of you can be a part of our dairy innovation ecosystem. Have a great day. Hello.
We're grateful for Jarrett to have recorded that specifically for our team. At this point, we wanted to open it up for Q&A, and I had a couple quick questions that I wanted to have Alika and Tamara respond to. Both of you are operating in the dairy production side. I think Jarrett Margolis and the California Milk Advisory Board are more on the after the milk has been harvested, how do we increase demand for it? But on the production side, what are the challenges to deploying ag technology in the dairy industry today? Tamara, do you want to take that first?
Sure. I think, one of the biggest challenges for us, because we are working with novel data sets, is just about the volume of data that we need to collect for our algorithms and machine learning training. So there's a challenge in that. There's also a challenge in just working with livestock kind of inherently, in that they are messy and they move. I've often said precision agriculture has a long-standing tradition in horticulture and crops, but they're, with the exception of the weather, slightly more predictable. Getting into a barn and finding something that really works with the existing systems is just, it has that additional challenge and list of variables. But the existing systems are a whole other piece. And the number of moving parts in a rotary and being able to integrate seamlessly with those. And we're seeing a lot of progress right now with integrations with groups like Valley Ag, who are more open to partnerships. And, Allflex is coming to the table in a different way. But we really need to be working together so that because we're all serving the same customer in the end, and looking to help farmers, increase their profitability and their productivity. And so I think if as service providers, not just innovators, but as service providers, if we can keep that person in mind in the center of our design and our partnerships, then we have some real potential to move things forward faster.
Thanks. And I'm going to turn the same question over to Marnus and Alika. Marnus, why don't you introduce yourself? You're also a part of the... Go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Marinus Dijkstra. I'm the co-founder along with Alika, Farm Robotics. I'm a dairy farmer myself. I've been in the dairy industry pretty much since I came here to the US, which is about 22 years ago now. To answer your question, I think the biggest challenge we have as a business is, obviously getting our technology to work. We're very early on. We're doing a lot of vision technology right now, which... we haven't had any necessary big challenges yet. It's just a matter of, is it going to work or not going to work? Like I said, we're just in the very, very beginning of it. I think the other challenge is how to get dairymen to see our vision, right? I think a lot of dairymen are, I wouldn't necessarily say stuck in their ways, but there's a lot of new technology out there, and I think they have a hard time picking which one is the best for them. Talking about robotic milkers, should they go with the new rotary barn or robotic milkers? Should they go with, our technology, or, maybe do a pedometer system, right? So there's a lot of ways of navigating, I think, through all this new technology. And I think that's where our biggest struggle is, like, hey, how do they pick us? Or, should it go a different route? So I think there's just a lot of challenges in that way.
Absolutely. The challenge of customer adoption and having customers, first of all, become aware of your solution and then get comfortable that, yes, that's the one that they want to select of all the other challenges that are out there. Both Alika from Farm Robotics and Tamara with the AI Diagnostics both mentioned some of your additional technology partners like Valley Ag. What is the role of the ecosystem of all the technologies and services that a dairyman might adopt, and how important is it for you to integrate with some of those other partners like Valley Ag or DeLaval, some of the other big technology providers to dairies? Alika, you want to take that, or Marinus?
Yeah, Marinus, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to work together with people like Valley Ag Software. I think dairymen do not like necessarily learning new technology, especially if they already have a good working management system like Valley Ag Software. So I think that's the biggest reason why we like to work with them, but also with other companies like DHA Plus, like Bovisync. I mean, there's a whole list of different management programs that dairymen use. So I think we think at least it's very important to kind of stick with whatever the dairyman is used to and just work alongside with it.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think at the end of the day, integrating as much as we can, both on the hardware and software side of things, is what our goal is. Because at the end of the day, not trying to have a dairyman learn something entirely new just to sake of having something else to learn on their operation. So I think our goal is to really integrate as much as we can.
So lowering that kind of technology adoption hurdle for the dairyman specifically.
Absolutely.
Tamara, do you have a perspective on that as well?
Yeah, it is absolutely critical for us to be able to integrate in terms of providing the data to the farmers in a timely manner, but also in a way that they're going to want to and are going to be able to easily access. So, working with Valley Ag or the other data aggregators, Del Pro or whoever, whatever that system is, we need to be able to integrate with their herd management software. We also need to be able to integrate with things like automated sorting gates or other hardware that's on the rotary or in the milking parlor. One of the things, and actually this kind of goes back to the earlier question about challenges, is just that no two dairies run exactly the same. I'm at a customer site today, and there's two rotaries on the property, but they're both different sizes and they don't run exactly the same, and the protocol's a little bit different over here, and we try that over there. That's great, but for us, our design principle is first and foremost is to integrate as smoothly into their workflow as possible, which means we really have to understand their workflow so that we can understand the tools that they're using and how we need to work to make it really, really seamless and easy for them. I mean, we don't want to create more work with what we're doing.
You both mentioned that it's important to integrate with some of these other third-party providers. Do you find that they are an avenue to get your solution, your awareness in the dairymen themselves, or do you have to create that demand, that awareness yourselves? What are the paths to market?
Well, certainly. It's a very relationship-heavy industry, and so while there are a lot of dairy cows in production in the U.S., there are fewer and fewer farmers who actually are making the management decisions on those. So being able to get the introductions or build the relationships with people is absolutely critical. Marinus, to be in your shoes as a dairy farmer and have those organically would be fantastic. But a lot of it, the introductions that we get to early customers are through people that we've worked with as we've been piloting. We're trying things out, people we've met through various accelerators, but yeah, it's, the integrators aren't necessarily the people making the introductions for us right now at our stage, because we are, like Farm Robotics, relatively early, but the people who work broadly, and equipment reps and system reps who see the pain points for their customers are willing to put us up there with their early adopters and the people who are interested in innovating.
No, that's very helpful. Have you found the same to be true, Arnis? Marnus or Alika, have you found the same to be true yourselves in terms of getting awareness?
Yeah, I mean, we've been getting quite a bit of awareness, through places like what you're doing here, but also going to ag shows like the one in Tulare, Wisconsin. I know a lot of dairymen myself. It's been really helpful. So yeah, it's hard to get awareness to a certain degree, but I think you just got to put yourself out there and get exposure.
Fantastic. Liana, do you have other questions that are coming in from the chat?
Yes, we actually had some questions regarding pilot projects for each of our companies, just generally to describe more in detail what they involve.
Yeah, so we are gonna install our robot first at my dairy to do a proof of concept. Then we have about 3 or 4 dairymen lined up that are willing to try it on a rotary, which I think that's going to be a big target market for us, especially initially. But yeah, we don't have a pilot project quite yet, other than my own dairy here, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months.
It's great to have your own dairy to say, here's the reference dairy using the technology. you can make that decision, much simpler. The decision process is shorter.
For sure. That's going to help.
Stroke of marketing genius, Marnus.
Or marketing necessity, whichever comes first. But
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. For EIO Diagnostics, we had an earlier pilot with an earlier version that ran for about a year in a commercial dairy in Minnesota. We have 3 dairies that are going to be part of a beta pilot in November this year, one in California and 2 rotaries in Kansas that we're working with. And that will be a major step forward for our company. So we'll be really working the data collection out of that and refining some new integrations into our own system.
A question for both of you, and this is understanding the motivations for the dairymen who are perhaps open to piloting or evaluating your solutions. Is the drive to implement these kinds of technology advances purely economic, that they're saving money on the farm, or is sustainability or other factors or labor shortages, other things that are not strictly economic, also driving their interest in innovation? Tamara, do you have a perspective?
Yeah, interesting. That's been part of our conversation here today. I think that sustainability is a significant driver. Mastitis is a more tenuous link to sustainability, except in that improving your herd health is improving your herd productivity. And so, I always say, if you take the math and you say, okay, a case of clinical mastitis can reduce the lifetime productivity of a cow by up to 20%, then if you can increase the overall productivity of your herd by 10 to 20%, you need fewer cows doing the work, and that's a significant sustainability win as far as I'm concerned. But there is some driver on sustainability, a huge driver around labor and just job satisfaction. It's really hard to recruit people, so it's not necessarily cutting humans out of production. It's about taking human capital and the kinds of problems that humans can solve really well and moving them somewhere else. So it's easy for us to automate something like mastitis detection with optical sensors, and you can give that kind of consistency in a job that requires skill but is incredibly boring and hard to retain for. So that's a big motivator for them as well, because it's competitive and it's expensive, and you want job satisfaction and higher retention rates, as well as better animal health outcomes. But all of those things tie back into the economics. I mean, I just find that dairy farmers have incredibly sharp pencils, and they're looking for the edge in sustainability or labor or animal health or any of those things based on the economics. So in the end, it always comes down to the nickels and dimes.
If you can avoid waste, if you can avoid dairy cows out of the production loop, that's improving sustainability and your economics at the same time.
Yep.
The interests are aligned.
Yeah.
Very good. Marnus, Alika, do you have a perspective as well?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, I really 100% agree with what Tamara said. I think a big deal what we're looking at is it's got to be economical for the dairyman, especially, right? I think there's a lot of product on the market today that really just businesses make money on, but not the dairyman. And I think we need to really do something about that. And that's why we came up with the idea we have. It's gonna be for both, right? Obviously, we got to make some money to be in our business, but dairymen need to stay in business, right? There's been too many dairymen, I think, leaving this industry that shouldn't really have to. But I think we can cut down on that bottom line, with labor and keeping cows around longer, and especially keeping cows around longer. I think it's gonna have a huge impact in our industry.
Fantastic.
I mean, an interesting thing to add to that, and Marnus, you talked about keeping cows around longer. I was reading a paper recently that said, it's your third and fourth lactation cows that are contributing the most to the bottom line for the farmers. So getting that longevity out of your cows and keeping them in production longer is going to be helpful on all fronts.
Yeah, I agree. I had a good conversation with a dairyman the other day, and he's like, man, it'd be nice to only milk first and second lactations, right? And I'm like, that would be because there's less labor, but it costs a lot of money to get that first and second lactation paid off. And I think to save on labor to get these cows or keep them healthy, it is a big plus, with your system and with our system, because there's a lot of labor involved when it comes to older cows, and I think that's where we can save a lot on.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Liana, any other questions have come in on the chat?
We do. We have another audience question asking both firms if you have plans to look at products or services for species other than cows or dairy cattle.
Absolutely. It's, the first prototype for EIO Diagnostics was developed for goats by a farmer on Vancouver Island. So he was an old techie who retired and became a goat farmer and put his two skill sets together to solve a bigger problem. So we went to cows because it's a more structured industry in North America, but there are just as many dairy goats in production worldwide as there are cows. Sheep also. There are as many water buffalo in dairy production in India as there are dairy cows, and that's the single largest dairy cow population in the world. There are all mammals who get mastitis, and we can address those issues for the ones who have a commercial application in livestock.
I can just picture the water buffalo on a rotary milker. That's
Yeah, that's the next stage for the handheld. Interestingly, two water buffalo herds on Vancouver Island, where I'm from, we're keen to work with them on our early prototyping.
fantastic. No applications in chickens, though. They just can't seem to milk those. I'm teasing.
Can't milk a chicken. I've been trying to milk almonds for ages, but no.
Someone's figured that out.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's when we look at our broad company thesis and infrared imaging for livestock health, we are looking at other species and other animal health issues, but mostly right now we're focused on dairy.
And for farm robotics, there's nothing unique about cows. I mean,
yeah,
pigs,
so
even chickens have needs.
Yeah, we want to go in different species, but first of all, we want to go into the beef industry. Once we have our deal perfected on the milk cows, and then go to swine, and then to possibly chickens. But yeah, definitely different species.
Fantastic. Lots of innovation opportunities.
A small, fast robot, Marinus.
What was that? Sorry.
There's going to have to be a small and fast robot for the chickens.
Oh, I know.
They move quickly. Liana, any other questions from the audience?
Yes, we don't have anything up in the Q&A section of the platform, but I actually have a question about communications with consumers. I'm not from a dairy family. I don't really fully understand what you do, Marinus, on a daily basis. What do you think, what are some of your thoughts about the best way to connect with consumers to help them really understand what you do on a daily basis, and what challenges you have, and what you do is so important, and like the challenges that you're trying to address are so critical to the industry and to consumers?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues. I think that people have a bad perspective of large farms. With our technology, I think the traceability of giving different pharmaceuticals to dairy cows, we can actually show what they get, why they get it, how much they get, and show the results of what products we're giving, right? It's, in the end of the day, I mean, not only if you can keep cows around longer, you also keep them healthier, which I think makes a good story for the consumer. Then you look at keeping less cows or in replacement cows. I think for the environment standpoint is going to be good. Just less stuff going into the atmosphere from just raising less animals. In the end of the day, I think is going to be a big story as well.
Keeping animals healthy is a key thing that consumers want to hear about. And that's what both of your firms are focused on.
Absolutely. One of our challenges in talking about what we do with consumers is that farmers don't want to talk about mastitis with consumers. You don't want to raise the flag or the specter of milk quality issues. With the people who are making consumer decisions, but framing it in the context of farm animal care, providing quality care to animals, giving, I often say, if you ask a mother who is breastfed about mastitis, they'll be like, you have to solve this problem, and I mean, humans get mastitis, dogs, pigs, whatever, but cows are super athletes of lactation. And when they have issues, they don't have a voice to tell you that they're uncomfortable. What our device allows you to do, and what we can say in a customer-friendly way or consumer-friendly way, is that we give cows a voice to tell us when they're in pain and they need help. So, and that farmers choose to work with us and with companies like us because they're invested in making sure that their cows are cared for well.
So we have one last question in the Q&A, and it's asking what criteria you each employed in selecting the accelerator program you participated in.
Don't everybody
Malika,
rush in at once.
You want to take that one?
Long pregnant pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think really for us, it came down to access to more contacts in the dairy market just to learn about the problem more. And additionally, we're looking for a financing partner, which DFA will be able to provide for us once we commercialize. So really that was primary two aspects of getting involved with the DFA Accelerator program, just learning more about our problem in the market, and they have the right connections to help us understand the issue more and perfect our solution.
Yeah. EIO Diagnostics has actually done 4 accelerators over the lifetime of our company. We went out really hard and fast over the first year, and it was interesting. So SOSV used to run the FoodX accelerator. They've retired that program. They actually caught us when we were still on the back, prototype or early prototype and business idea on the back of a napkin stage, and offered us an opportunity to come in and really learn about what we needed to do as a company and as a startup to get this going. Then we got picked up by I'm totally gapping on this one. The middle one. I'm in big trouble now for forgetting an accelerator name. Okay, and the third one was the Techstars Farm to Fork Accelerator, and it was interesting because we were in the first cohort for that, and we were talking to Cargill before they made the announcement about the accelerator, and we were having great conversations, and suddenly it went cold, and they said, well, if you want to talk to us, you should go through this accelerator. So it is, like you guys said, it's a great way to engage with corporates and strategic partners because they invest in these accelerators, and that opens up a lot of doors. So that's what drove us all at very, very different stages and different things that we learned. And it's interesting that over time, I guess the fourth one we did was a Canadian Ag Tech Accelerator because at one point we were a Canadian company. Now we're fully in the U.S. And that was actually, it was the timing of that. It was a virtual accelerator, and we had a leadership change. So I'm the second CEO, though one of the original founders. And just to cement our positioning with stakeholders and reintroduce the company under new leadership, it created a great opportunity to do that. So, I think evaluating accelerators is something that is worth spending some time doing. And one of the really important things is knowing what stage you're at and what they can provide to move you forward to the next stage. What I, in retrospect, have chosen to do 4 accelerators really quickly back to back, maybe not so much, but everyone is unique and brings really interesting relationships to the table.
That's a fascinating conversation, Tamara, is the emerging ecosystem for startup companies in ag and food technology. You mentioned you were kind of on the front edge of the Techstars Farm to Fork, the very first one. The Canadian Technology Accelerator has only been in existence for a year or two, and when you went through it. And so I think the ecosystem for ag and food technology companies is evolving rapidly. You heard in the video today that the California Milk Advisory Board is starting an innovation center to really promote that. But even then, that is brand new. So perhaps in retrospect, we could look at the ecosystem is getting easier. It's making it easier for startup companies to enter into some of these fields that are, dizzyingly complex in terms of the ecosystem, the suppliers, the customers. How do you actually get to those dairy farmers in the middle of Tulare County, for example? But having accelerators and others is a step forward.
Yeah, well, and John, it's a really interesting thing that you bring up because many of the accelerators are more focused on food than they are and consumer packaged goods than they are on livestock technology. So, it's one of the things that companies like Farm Robotics or EIO Diagnostics face is, we don't always fit in those accelerator models, and finding accelerators that are really well suited to what our business needs are and the kinds of relationships that we need to build, it's a different game, so. I mean, I'd say
if you could,
CPG is a crazy market. Like, I think you've got to be insane to do that, and it's hats off to everybody who does it. But there's more accelerator help for them. I think it's a hard business overall.
If you could design the ideal accelerator for dairy production, on the front end, not the consumer packaged goods side, but on the production side, what would the key elements be for that?
I'm going to let Marinus start.
It's a hard
Pass the hot
question.
potato to Marinus.
Yeah, it's a hard question. I mean, what's ideal? I don't know. I'm not, we obviously we're in the accelerator. I mean, I don't run an accelerator. I don't really know what they exactly look for when you're applying, right? I mean, obviously we always think we're a good fit. I don't know what they always think. I don't know what the ideal accelerator would be. I do think we need to kind of get after our own industry and start paying attention to these startups, because it's really hard. A lot of people have good ideas. It's really hard to bring that good idea to life, and it just costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of time, and I think a lot of people probably give up before they even get started because it's so hard to find that right investor, especially when you're early on. And I don't know. We've been asking institutional investors for a long time, and it's a lot of times no because we're too early, right? So where can you actually get money to get started right off the bat? In our case, we need a lot of hardware, which is really expensive,
Sure.
more so than software, I think, and it's tough. So I don't know what ideal is, but I don't know. I think as an industry, I think we need to figure something out. I do think CMAB is doing a good job when it comes to on the food side. I think maybe they should think about doing something on the tech side. I'm not sure. It would be nice, but then again, I'm just on the other end of that.
And again, the accelerators can provide financing access. They can provide market access and visibility to customers. They could potentially provide kind of industry ecosystem access if you're talking about getting connected to partners or integration partners like a Valley Ag or some of the other software firms, or just connections into the industry. I think the California Milk Advisory Board within the California market has access to a broad set of connections into the production ecosystem, and even that alone can be valuable. But of all those factors, an accelerator could give you access to each of those. Customers who might be willing to accept pilots, financial institutions that understand the challenges of production agriculture and are willing to support that. That might be the formula for the next set of startup entrepreneurs that will come after you.
Yeah.
You're the pioneers, and unfortunately the road is unpaved in front of you.
I don't know. There's a great ecosystem of founders and companies out here who are slogging it out and really helpful and supportive of each other. So that's always nice. I think the getting farmers involved. There is nobody more innovative than a farmer. And it doesn't matter what the commodity is. It's like you turn somebody loose with some duct tape and baler twine, and you can fix engineering problems like you've never believed. And so when we show up in a position of questioning, and especially in the early stage, we're like, okay, talk to us about your pain points. We have this idea, we want to do this. Okay, well, you have to do that, and you need to do that and solve it this way. Okay, but we have this product. Oh, well, we need it to do this, and we need it to that, and they'll workshop things with you. That has been those have been the most amazing experiences. So if I think back, like the Techstars Farm to Fork Accelerator, they do this mentor madness thing. It's like crazy mentor speed dating and all of those things. Like we need farmers as our mentors sometimes, because I can hire engineers and programmers and all of those things, but I have to train every person who comes into our company about what agriculture is about. Fortunately, I know agriculture, and I couldn't program my way out of a paper bag, but it's a different thing. We really need that barn truth to be able to make tools that are going to work for them.
Well, you act as that connector tomorrow, right? You've got the connection between the technology side and the ag producer side. Yeah. And that's where opportunity lies. Any final closing thoughts that you wanted to share with the audience, or anything we've touched on previously? Anyone? Well then, this has been a very good discussion. I really appreciate all of your time participating. We've covered some good ground here and really talking about the challenges of startup companies in this ag production space. Thank you again for your time, and we thank all of our audience members for participating and submitting your questions. Again, just to remind you that this recording will be available after the event, and feel free to tune in for our next event. I believe it's November 17th, and the information will be posted on the NC Biotech website or any of our other partners, AgStart or AgLaunch. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Marnus, Alika, Tamara. Really appreciate your time and patience today.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.